Simon with toughtrader.com doing the market preview for the 6th of March. Okay, let's see if we can't get all of this going at one time. Second here. One document I need to grab really quick. Okay, so past performance is not indicative of future results. This is for educational purposes only, and past performance is not indicative of future results. So most importantly, I can and do lose money. When I'm trading futures, nothing's perfect, just like any other medium. My goal is to find good location to trade against where day traders have made a mistake, and I can trade against larger time frame traders and smaller time frame traders where they're making an error and the larger time frame traders are helping me out. So I plan to outline that this morning. So before we get started, ES is gapping 11 points. Let's jump into it. ES is gapping 11 points. NQ is gapping 41. It looks like there was good news coming out of North Korea and South Korea where they're in talks. And that's a lot of what's been causing destabilization in the market. So hopefully that's now causing stabilization. A couple of things. We've been rallying huge in NQ, 1% per day, right? Don't underestimate. I would get underneath your last best buyer as a group before I considered shorting. I'd be aggressive on the long side and conservative on the short side. So let's get Globex high and low in really quick, and then we'll roll from there. And then I want to review yesterday really quick and kind of give it as a preamble to today's setup. So Globex high came in at 27.3450. I think that 46 is the likely target above. Not sure whether we get there today or not, but that's the likely target. And there's not a lot of reason to think that it can't make it at this particular point. Let's see where we are. 27.16. Globex low. Okay, right into the white zone. Interesting. And then let's get insert symbol, tick, plot, minimize this, pull this over, launch this, minimize this. Randy, by the way, had a very nice day with the white zones in Russell, which, by the way, also looks very, very strong. And then finally NQ, which is just on a rocket ship. Let's see where we came in overnight. 69.26. And I'd be very surprised if we don't punch that hole into that profile. I do expect it to reject out of there. I'm not sure that will hold it, but that would be a logical place to get a punch back down. 68.77. Globex low, right at gap fill. So a lot of areas in between. You'll notice I really don't have a white zone all the way up here till 70.12. Important to recognize. All-time high at 70.32. That's actually achievable with the range we've been having today, believe it or not. I'm not saying that we do that today, but we're trading 69.17. We tack on 100 points. That puts us at that puts us at 70.19, right? That's just a sneeze away from getting the high. So I don't see a reason why we can't make the jump up there. There's this naked, so key areas on NQ, this naked volume point of control, right? There's a hole in the profile right here. And then there's a naked TPO point of control, which we're trading just above right here. So this whole area becomes a resistance area. But so let me delineate between resistance and reversal, right? We can simply grind through here, right? Find resistance, but then get above and make a push up, right? So I want to show you what I was looking at yesterday from the profile standpoint, and then go to the and then go to how the market actually treated it. So remember yesterday's trade plan. We come in and I grab, go to the TPOs, it's easy enough. Let's go grab NQ. Okay, so if you go back to what we said yesterday morning, right? My hit erase all lines. Why is this not erasing all lines? I'm not sure. That's fine. I'll go figure it out. Not important right now. Okay. Yesterday, I said, number one, we had to hold below the point of control. There was three important areas. The point of control, prior day's high was very important. This anomaly right here was important. And then the TPO and the volume point of control. So for members in the room, remember when those two are concentrated, they hold a lot more power and set us up for a push to the upside, right? So if you look, we came down, we tested just above the TPO point of control. We didn't hit the volume point of control, but close enough for hand grenades, right? Next, we get back above value area high, and this became our challenge right here. So look how the market handled that from a 30-minute time frame, right? We opened up, we tested into the final anomaly. Remember, when we tested in this area, the chart's considered repaired. We roll down to the next anomaly, which is the point of control and the volume profile. We roll up and we now consolidate above value area high, right? So the other way to look at that is to come back here. Here's NQ yesterday. We come into the anomaly. We failed to hit gap fill. We roll back down to the next anomaly. We traded above. We traded below. This anomaly is now fixed. We roll back to the TPO point of control. This is a value area high. So we remember, when it's all stacked, you kind of have to separate it out and go, what's the market doing? When we rejected below value area high, see how we backside tested it? And then we came down to the most logical place, which was the TPO point of control, right? There was a hole in the profile right behind there. Had we been weak, we probably would have come down and tested it. We didn't. That's the next logical area down here. And that ended up being Globex low is what was tested, is what went untested, right? Once we were back above value area high, you have to remember, the only way, when I point out and I say the only way we can get an extension up or the only way we can get an extension down is if we get above and hold above value area high. So notice inability to hold above value area high. Notice inability to get back below, and we consolidate above. Next, if you look through here, this is my last best buyer. We get underneath my last best buyer here and certainly by here, right? Backside test into my last best buyer and roll down. When we close back above my last best seller here to the left, see this? We backside tested them pretty quickly to the tick, right? And then we launched to the upside. And what I said yesterday morning while we were trading was this was very bullish. Now, what I was looking at that was very bullish is this. I'm going to show y'all. So this is internal and not really external. I'm not going to be sharing this in the room very much because it causes too much confusion in real time. But what I was looking at here, chart settings, okay. What am my range? There we go. This is my 5 range. And I'm just going to compact this up and not go through it in detail. I'm not going to go through and explain this whole chart. It would be dizzying to do so, to say the least. But when I'm over here in the morning, so this is our push down, okay? Why can't I bring this back into the picture? Here we go. Let's see if I can do this. Hold on a sec. Reset. Right click. There we go. Okay. So if you look all the way through here, right? So in this block, I have declining delta. I have basically these are delta pushes down. Don't pay any more attention. Declining delta through here, right? So I want you to watch as I push through to the right here. So by 8:57, see how we try to push into that declining delta? We can't make it back above, right? See how we're pushing, we're pushing, we're pushing. Am I on the right date to make sure? I am not. Sorry about that, guys. Let's do this one more time. too much date in here, so let's do this. Chart settings is to load 4. Okay, there we go. Now, let's do this again. Here is well, I cannot get this to cooperate. Let's see if we do this here real quick. There we are. There we are. Okay. There's to the beginning of the day, 3:05, 3:05, 8:30 a.m. Okay, so here we go. Presses down on delta. Press down on delta through here. So this is where I said there is a, within this area right here. So see how we had increasing delta through here? Couldn't press above my declining delta, right? So this is important for today because this is what I'm looking for. So when I spread that out, right, through here, this is where I come in and say, there we go, right in here. See this right here? Where there's a volume spike right here, and see that delta of 1050? That's where I said, hey guys, I'm pointing to this right here, and I said, wow, I said, look at the absorption at the low, look at the absorption at the low, and they couldn't absorb. We made one push below on very light push, right? Got back above. Now this is my last delta push. Look, as soon as I close above my last delta push down, right? The next area I need to get above is going to come over here to the left. I now need to get above this delta push down right here. So that you could basically say the bottom of that swing was here, the top of that swing was here. So watch how it handles it. We made an attempt above. We couldn't get back above. We push lower, right? I hope this is making sense, y'all. We push in. See how they try to hold that same delta decline? We get a delta increase right against it, right? See how we consolidated right above there? And now notice, this is a delta decline. So what are they trying to do here? They are trying, when I say delta decline, delta actually increased on the pushes to the downside, right? So what are they trying to do? Look at this whole big picture once I highlight this. What's going on here, right? We've gotten above our last delta push. We have a delta push up through here. We successfully get through our initial resistance, additional push that fails. We get a delta push above, and then we get a delta push low. And once we get above this, right, see how that delta push low is pressing against this, and it's pressing against this, those 2 points right there. When they can't get it lower, right, they now push straight to the upside. So what am I looking for today, right? So notice these are the delta pushes down through here. So notice this is my next major area where I get a delta push down. See this right here? Notice that when I push back below, where do I push back below? Right into my delta push down. Then I get a delta push down. Now notice, once we get underneath, right? Delta push up, right? Delta push down again. Where's my delta push pushing down against, right? So it's working against here and this structure over here. See that? Pushes down, inability to push past this delta push down, right? We're going to come in one more time. They closed there, and I don't think they ever got underneath that overnight, right? So what am I looking for today to figure this out? What I want to see come into the day is I want to see them come in, get a substantiated push lower like this. I want to see them come in, establish multiple attempts to push down, an inability to do so, get above them. Once I get above them, I'm going to go, hey, I want to push my trades out to the upside. And what do I want to see for the flip side? What I want to see for the flip side is that I get repeated pushes to the upside and an inability to get above those. And then once I get above, right, once I get below those pushes up, I want to use pushes back in to short. Now there's a catch to the short side, right? Think about it. At this point, when we come back to this profile over here, right, what did I say had to happen yesterday to push up? And I know everyone wants a scenario for today. The scenario is I'm looking for longs. I'm looking to catch them when they push down and get above their last push. So this is our bigger picture, right? Here's our swing high over here to the left, right? This is where we consolidated last time, right through here, right? Right. And that's what I said yesterday. You had to get above the prior high to push up because it stopped the one timing to the downside. We are no longer one timing to the downside. This is where we had resistance before. Notice where the consolidation was. Notice where, when we look in here, this is the top of value right through here. See that? That's what does that mean? This is where 70% of the volume, 70% of the time was spent attempting to get to a new high. That comes off at approximately 69.84. If we consolidate above 69.84 and we're unable to press back below 69.59, expect a press out to the upside. People made a concerted effort to push down. Notice that each value area made a lower high all the way through here, right? So if we can get above the 69.59, I would expect a push to a new high. Additionally, we're no longer one timing to the downside and possibly have started one timing to the upside. So what's our next major measure from here? So if we squeeze this out, which I'm going to do right now, and we're going to apply the exact same concept, right? The exact same concept to ES in just a second. I'm just running a tad behind, but this will all make sense. Okay, swing low, swing high. So for today, right, as of yesterday, you have to adjust this to whatever the new swing high is intraday, right? But this is your 62 retrace. Notice that is the bottom of that primary node from yesterday, 67.45. Unless we get behind 67.45, right, there is nothing bearish going on about this market. Now, that does not mean we can't pull down or roll down or anything else. It's just your hopes, just like yesterday, to accelerate to the upside, we had to get above value area high. Same story here. In order to get to the downside, you have to get underneath this 67.45, and then you have to get underneath this value area. But this is the first step. If we close behind 67.45, I will consider turning bearish and pressing the short. But if we do not get below 67.45, all shorts are scalps, and I'm looking to press long side trades and hopefully get presses down on profit taking to catch them back to the upside into key areas, which we'll outline through the course of the day. Okay, let's go do ES real quick. And remember, we're having 100-point rotations. So I would stretch my key areas to 30 to 60-point stretches for NQ for key entries. Well, Ron, obviously it's not going to happen today, but once we get underneath that 67.45, I'll start considering pressing my shorts to the downside once they set up. So Ron has a great point. I'm not going to short minus 175 points. All I'm trying to point out is on the bigger time frame, Ron, thank you for clarifying, is once I get below 67.45, what would I want then? So Ron's correct. I don't want to see a push down like this and then go, oh, I'm below 67.45, I want to short. What I'd like to see, and what I imagine it would look like, is that we would push down in a series of up and down like this, because you got to believe they're going to find responsive buyers down here, right? So what I want to do is get impulse move below that, and then on a backside test back in here, now I'm looking for a short or a continuation to the downside. But I do not want to establish a short underneath 67.45. Ron is absolutely correct. Ron, basically, I'm not taking shorts this morning unless I see a breakdown. So my next series will be intraday. We'll be looking for the break of the last swing of a 62 retrace. And so what that would look like is NQ, chart settings. So let's just do it like on 10-minute scale. See if we can get this quickly. Loading too many days. 1 second. Okay, so two things. First of all, here's our launch from yesterday. Here's our last swing low to our current swing high. So my early warning sign that there's a problem right now, I would put a line at 68.80. Again, that's another, it's not as big a roll down, but this is the first place where we have issues. You can see that obviously makes sense from the fact that we consolidated above it. I'd want to get underneath, backside test. I'd want to see some delta pushes down to trade against. And that would be the first clue that there's a problem. Larger picture from yesterday's roll down. There you go. So that's exactly the point, Ron. You'd have to get underneath Globex low. I don't understand, Ron. If you'll help me clarify what you're asking me, I'm not saying get to 68.80 and short. You're clear on that, right? Okay. I just want to make sure I'm not miscommunicating anything here. I'm not saying, oh, we're 68.79 short. What I'm saying is you've got to get behind this to have a decent short at this point, right? So your structure has to set up again underneath here. And then the next bigger picture that I would keep an eye on would be from this swing low to our current swing high, okay? And that picture line in the sand at 68.19. And then I go in, I'm saying staying below 68.77 most likely creates a rotation down, and your next likely rotation down is to the mid of this area, right? Which you'll see creates a between yesterday morning swing high and the breakout point. You're likely to find a response in here first time in. That's why if you get behind this, right? If you get behind this area, you're likely to get a roll to this area, because what should happen is we should fly straight in here and straight out of here, right? So if I fly straight in here, bounce, push down, then backside test, fail, and then that sets me up to fail on this rally to the upside, right? But what should happen is push down, push up, maybe backside test, then continue higher or consolidate in this area and just re-auction the top half of this area for continuation to the upside. We're obviously open now, so I want to go do the same thing on ES, right? If we look at ES, which is, by the way, lagging NQ and should probably catch up, right? So if we erase all lines, number one thing to note, no longer one timing to the downside. That is ended. Number two, this is your neighborhood. If you don't get past your neighborhood today, there's no short. Remember that. You've got to get underneath 26.9850, and that's likely a responsive buy area, because you can see there's a pivot point right in that area. See how we rejected there? We flew through this area here. They attempted to hold that 26.98 the first time. You can tell because of how much time built there, right? We obviously simply auctioned through, so it makes sense to re-auction that. The point of control, the TPO point of control and the volume point of control are split, but just barely, right? So it creates a wider area. My guess is this just barely came in as a TPO point of control. My guess is they would have wanted to shift it here. So I'd actually look for the responsive buyers on top there, not on the bottom. And then, so where's the next area of resistance? So if you look, see the TPO and the volume point of control in the exact same spot. At 27.47 is the likely target up. Also notice there's a lack of anomalies in between. There's a little tiny hole right there. 27.36. Was that Globex high? Let's go look. 27.3450. So I bet if we open that up, let's go look at exactly what that was. There's the hole right there. See that? Oh, wait, this is yesterday. Let's push up a little bit more. Hold on a second here. No, let's pull this in. Sorry, guys. Let's see if I can fix this really quick. Why are you not letting me reset the scales? There we go. Let's try this again. Okay, so what you're looking at, NQ is all the way back at the high, right? Look how far ES is actually trailing it off to the high. So the first thing you have to keep in mind, we have to break the swing high off to the left, right? See how that's sitting up? We're currently trading at 27.29. That's currently sitting between 27.80 and 27.95. See those value areas where you set a lower high in the value area there? That has to get broken. We've stopped one time to the downside, but we're still, oops, sorry. Here we go. Obviously, I'm not trading the first half hour, guys. See, so we have structure here. You have to break the swing high at 27.95, right? You have to set a higher low. See how we're banging into the bottom side of this structure over here, right? And we have to get above 27.47 to push higher. And once we get above 27.47, see how all these points of control came in here in this 27.36 area? I'm pointing right through here. Okay. So what I want, I'm going to scoot this over to the left. Or it won't give me any more space. Let me try this. Hold on a sec here. There we go. So what I want, here, I'm going to draw this out. Okay, see this here? Really? Why would you default to black? Let's try this again. So see this through here? It's not a very good color either. Pink, here we go. Okay, so see this here? We have to get above that area. So see when we tried above, see how we try to hold this area almost to the tick, and when we gap down into this profile area and then got underneath, and that started the sweep, right? So what are we doing now? Yesterday we closed right back in to this area. What are we trying this morning? See how we're trying to get above this last little lip right here, right? And then what are we going to have a challenge? So there's people invested here, here, and here. We have to grind through these guys. So what's the first test? Get up, backside test, hold the backside test, and that sets us up for a push above where we have to get above that 2780. That 2780 sets us up to go back and reset new highs. Obviously, considering that's a 60-point run, we're unlikely to knock that out today. But my guess is we're going to start, if we can balance above these 2 points right in here, we should start getting constructive for an attack on this upside move. And then that will start us into a trend up. What do we not want to see? First thing we don't want to see is we don't want to see, if you're bullish, you don't want to see underneath 2698, 2700 area, right? And number two, you don't want to get underneath this swing low at this point. You want this swing low to be set, right? Additionally, right, what's the other sign of strength? We're going to drag this over here from here to here. Now, here's my 50-60. Okay, so look where my 50-60 is lining up, right? Notice there's an anomaly right into my 50-60. See that right there? Once we get down here, Monday's chart is repaired, 2685 to 2678, right? So even if I get down here, I've got to beat this, and I'm likely to get responsive buyers out of here. I really don't want to test out down into here at all if I'm bullish, right? Because that would get me back underneath this value area over here to the left. But if I do get in here, I want to make sure that I'm prepared to get long. Look how big a stretch that'd be, pretty much 50 down at this point, and I would expect response out of this area back up. And then I just want to make sure I don't gap back down underneath this last value area low. What I'm trying to say here, guys, is this is unlikely. If we do get in here, expect responsive buying. And what you really want to see is from this structure over here to the left, all this is where we spent the majority of time. We've got to jump over 2743. Above 2743 lets us attack this. This will then become support on the backside, and we should be able to push out. And if we can push out, that should let us attack this stuff over here. And then our next major resistance area comes really in this structure right there, 2795 to 2840. We're way lagging on NQ. I would expect ES to catch up. I can't tell what's what in terms of the formality of fundamentals at this point because we're swinging so fast. But I can tell you the move on NQ is bullish, and unless it fails, I'd be looking to buy dips to the downside to push back up, right? So let me do one last thing that I haven't done intraday for yesterday's profile. Let's spread this out. Okay, specific areas for today, right? The point of control and the TPO point of control are spread apart, right? Here's the TPO point of control, but the anomaly ends right down here, and then there's another little one right behind it, that J period. So if you're conservative, you're shooting for 2710 to 2712, this 2712 to 2700 area for a push back up, right? Value area low is certain to get a responsive buy. There's an anomaly right behind it. So if you're playing the value area low at 2698, expect a possible push to 2692.75 before finding a responsive buy. I'd like an immediate trap back in above 26.98 for pushback to 27.12. We have a poor high and a poor low. So either side is likely to break the prior day's high or the prior day's low, right? And what we want to watch out for additionally is once you break above the high, if we're going to trend, once we establish above, you do not want to see a second close back below yesterday's high. That would send you to the other end of the range, which I would assume is going to be value area, right? And then the chart is repaired once we trade below 26.79. I would expect, if anything, instead of a reversal, would be balance inside this area if we stay inside this area, as opposed to a roll to the downside. And again, what am I looking for? Heavy pushes down, just like yesterday. Heavy pushes down, get above those heavy pushes, and then I'm looking for rotations down. Okay, let me draw it out. The market presses down, right? We get heavy pushes down through here. Market recovers up, right? That's great. Then I'm looking for presses down against that last push down for rotation back up. This is the area I want to get aggressive to the long side, right? Now, what's the risk in that? Is that we just do this. If we just do that, I'm just going to have to shrug my shoulders unless I see it going early. But that's what we had yesterday. That's why I got bullish, is there was no follow through on the downside on the delta pushes. And I'm looking for that same setup this morning. So I'll sit patiently and I'll watch, but I'm not in a rush to trade this morning. I'm just not. I think we'll have a setup. We had the great setup yesterday where we were able to push really strong to the upside. We pretty much, I don't want to say I nailed the lows. All I said was, I think we're going to push up big. I didn't actually call out a trade yesterday, but the zones worked perfectly. And I'm looking for a similar setup today, and I'll do a better job. It was still early to put, we were still pretty early in the process, but that big absorption was a really big tell yesterday. So just stay calm, and we should be able to find some pretty nice trade setups alongside. I'm going to close this. We will open this up. Is everyone clear what my plan is? I want to get above. So to be specific and go even smaller, I want to get above my last bestseller, backside test them, and look for a long. And I'm pretty much looking to skip my shorts today until I see that the short side is established again and viable. I really don't want any shorts. They're just too stressful in this environment where we drive up so hard, right? And it's easy to make a mistake and have a bad day. If you can scalp through it, mazel tov, you have my blessing, go for it. But I don't really want to fight the market. I've been through here before, and it's a dangerous adventure I'm not interested in taking. So I will wait patiently. Randy's pointing out we got within half a tick, one tick of the white zone. It just missed. So we'll probably still, hopefully we retest it. They'll obviously be drawn into testing this area, Randy. I thought that was a pretty good white zone there. Notice I don't have anything above for a long, long ways. So keep that in mind if you're trying to short Russell above. Okay, and then the initial response for the push back down, I'm just looking for them to come back in the other direction. And I've got to do something here. Click. File, duplicate chart. Oh, that is what that is. Okay, fair enough. So see this over here to the left, guys? See where we tried to push down last? That was yesterday's push right through this general area right here. Okay. I would expect to push into this area to find responsive buying. This is where they made the last repeated attempts to push lower, right? So two things. I've got to get below this to be short here on my left. And I would expect the first time we press against these guys, okay, I would expect that we are going to find a response back up out of this area first time in. So that's just pure scalping. I would just expect that when they push into this location, prior to getting to the gap fill, which is all the way down here, I expect that they're going to attempt to hold this area. Just like yesterday when we pushed into these guys here to the left, they held and pushed up overnight. I would expect as we're pushing in here, we find responsive buyers this morning. And you can see we're pushing in right now. Now I'm looking for a reason or excuse to get long in this area, right? Make sense? And then I'm going to a smaller range over here to find the opportunity where that opportunity lies. So I'm going to push this out a little bit. And I see what's going on here. Range 5, range 2.5. That's all fine. There, that's perfect. Okay, so I'm looking. I'm not getting long yet. I'm just showing you how I would scalp this. It's still early in the morning. I'm not doing anything, right? But I'm watching the delta pushes down. So see that 332? That's about my heaviest push down that I've had this morning, right? So see that 332? Point of controls right here. I at least want to get above my heaviest seller, right? Which puts me at 6902, right? So this is a 2.5 range bar. This is a 5 range bar. But when I get above that 6902 and I close on either a 5 range or a 2.5 range, if I want to be earlier on that, I'm going to expect that they push out of those areas. And you see I'm getting delta divergences already through here as we're pushing down. That's what those arrows are, right? I'm expecting that they'll push up. If they don't, I just wait patiently till they finally show me their hand, right, which they will. So I'm going to do this in live in terms of what I'm looking for. Right now, I've got nothing to do, right? Remember, I have the bigger picture over here where I'm looking at against this, and I'm going, I see where they're pushing down, right? Okay, so see how they're responding back up out of that area? And that's because there were sellers there on the prior day, right? So I'm just going to do this very small size-wise. Okay, so as soon as that point of control closes above, so I'm long now. Okay, I'm going to take that 6905.75. I'll add if we press back against 6902. Nothing's perfect, and I have a stop at the low of the day, right? So even from a scalping, so 6902.50 I'll add, and I want it to hold above the low of the day. So I took along at 6905. Again, this is just, it's too early for me to normally get to work, so just for demonstration purposes, right? I normally burn the first half hour. Now notice we pushed right up against my last area where we tried to hold. And now I've got to make a decision. Is that really going to hold or is that going to push? My supposition would be that this area in general, that whole thing is going to hold. I might have to take multiple shots out of that area, right? And then I have to make a decision as to how I'm going to manage that trade. Am I going to take 5 ticks or am I actually going to try to make them click out of that area, right? So also, if you'll notice on this, see how I had an increase in delta as we pushed down on a smaller size there? We're now above that area that occurred right through here. I want to see this area hold, right? And I certainly don't want to break my low. It's early, so a lot of volume tends to get shoved through early in the morning. So I'm not certain that I have this placed exactly correctly. So again, I usually would wait till 9:15 to start pushing this. So it's a good time to demonstrate it. But don't be shocked at 1 or 2 failures through here. You'd have to be willing to repeatedly take the trade early in the morning because it whips through so fast. But the general thesis is that they were going to hold this area, and that was based on what I saw yesterday, which was, that's too small a time, right? What? Which was, so see how we're pushing out there, almost 5 points, right? And why did I think we were going to respond? Because I could see my delta pushes down over here to the left, which is why. So now I can take my profit. I was late, 69.11. So I ended up with about 6 points, $120 a contract on that push up. I wasn't trying to do anything special. But that's a perfect demonstration of how I'm using my algorithms to tell me where the buyers and sellers are. I'm waiting to push back down into them, right? My next area to test would be this area over here to the left, right? Which will obviously get us into the gap fill location, right? Notice I don't have anything established yet intraday, right? And so we continue to push. That made perfect sense to take a long out of this location. That's exactly what I tend to execute through the course of the day, guys. So I can't demonstrate that better than this. So at any rate, that's my 2 cents. That is a very helpful piece of software for me. And anyways, that's about all I have for this morning, guys, on YouTube. Thank you for joining us. And I'll probably be back tomorrow morning because I want to go back and forth and compare and contrast what I had for the market preview versus the market versus the what I actually did through the course of the day. But long is the plan, and I'm not looking to short at all at this point until I see a clear presence of sellers once again. Thank you all for joining. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a great day, guys.